the Rooted Family Podcast, where we learn how to mindfully boost our brains for optimal health and learning. Join me, Erin Sadler, teacher, speaker, brain health coach, yoga instructor, founder of the Rooted Family, but most importantly, mom of three, as we talk about how we can bring peace, prosperity, and fun into homes, schools, and communities. We all want to raise families that thrive in the world, not just survive. And this podcast will help you do just that. Thanks for joining us. Let's get growing together. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be with you today in this episode of the Rooted Family Podcast. If you're a new listener to the Rooted Family Podcast, we would love to hear from you. Please visit therootedfamily.com and let us know how we can help you today. In this episode, we are discussing if being a superhero to your kids means letting them fail. How brain training growth mindset principles can change your kid's life. What we're going to talk about today is why failing now builds strong kids later, and how developing growth mindset is a must for successful kids. Why growth mindset is critical to brain health. Parenting with purpose, letting our kids fail and flail. And 2 amazing blueprints to parent coach your child growth mindset. So, first off though, I'm so glad to be back for another season. Yay! How'd you find me today? Are you listening to me on 103.5? Or did you find me on the blog, or did you find me on iTunes or somewhere else? I want to hear how you found me. So just leave me a little note and let me know. If you are looking for me other places, maybe you found me by accident today, you can find me on most things at The Rooted Family, Insta, the Face, the tweets, the Pinterest. Well, I'm all over the place. You can also find me on the YouTube or just therootedfamily.com. And one of our favorite parts of making this podcast for you guys as we go each week is having a great conversation, because we don't want to feel isolated as parents. And if you're an educator, you don't want to feel isolated as an educator either. So I want to open this up as a community to chat. So drop me a line on social media or just in the comment section of this podcast. And here is the question for the week. Our question is, what have you let your child fail at doing recently to help them grow? And this can be either on purpose or on accident. Sometimes we have those accidental parenting moments that are actually turn out to be pure gold. So what have you done lately to let your child fail so that you could help them grow, either on purpose or on accident? And just so you know, this episode is jam-packed full of good resources. I mean, I'm just like looking here. I think there's almost like 10 good resources. So if you are on the radio or if you just stumbled over me by accident today, what I want you to do is take a minute and go to the resources section, and you can find that right on my website or in the show notes for today. But you're going to want some of these free printables that I have on there today, and a couple links to some things that could really help you. And one of which is my book, Parenting Your Frustrated Child, which is my free ebook. So make sure you get all the goodies and all the freebies that you need to make your parenting easier. Okay. Joining our community, we love to have people join our community, so you can just pop over to anywhere that I just mentioned and join right in, and check out some of our other stuff that we have going on right now. We have some amazing stuff coming up this fall, and I'm so excited about it, so check in with us so often. Okay, if you are ready to get started, let's get started today. This whole month of September in the Rooted Family Circle, we're talking about superheroes. And so how can you be a superhero to your kid this month? How can you let them fail and be their superhero because you let them fail? It might seem counterintuitive as a parent that one of the best things you can do is to let your kid fail. And emotionally, for us as parents, it can be really rough. And it can be rough on the kid, it can be rough on us as the parent, but it helps to develop the skill of resiliency. And resilience is a universal capacity, which allows a person, group, or community to prevent, minimize, or overcome the damaging effects of adversity. Okay, the reason I, along with brain researchers, support practicing failure young is that just like when you train muscles, you begin to develop those muscles necessary to overcome adversity. So just like with weight training, you got to practice and lift weights over and over again to grow and build muscles. So if you want to have resiliency as a grown-up, you need to start practicing it when you're a kid so you really have it nailed down by the time you get to be an adult or a teenager. And when we think about it in the rooted family terms, this means to me developing the skill set necessary to bend but not break under life storms. It's growing those really strong internal roots that empower you when the going gets tough. The reason to start when our kids are young is because they have us, their parents, and their caregivers, and the other people that love them in their lives as guides to help them navigate through adversity. Notice I did not say pick them up when they fall. We want to train kids to pick themselves up. We want them to look around, learn from their mistake, recalibrate, and then try again. Today, we're going to talk about the key skills you can develop at home to help with this in your family. First, growth mindset and resiliency are often used hand in hand. Growth mindset is having the mindset shift that you can develop the skills necessary for overcoming adversity. And those things that are your adversities are changeable. If you think they're not changeable or you can't overcome them, that's called fixed mindset. So I see this a lot in my coaching with kiddos, the kiddos that tell themselves they can't before they even try. They have that fixed mindset and not that growth mindset. I feel a sneeze. Oh, it passed. All right. The godmother of this movement is Carol Dweck. She gives an amazing TED Talk, and I'm going to link it in the show notes that you should definitely check out. I will also link her book. If you are new to growth mindset, or you just have never really heard of Carol Dweck, or you've heard of it, but you're not really sure what that means, this is where I would start. She really does, her TED Talk gives such a great explanation, and she really talks about how this applies to cognitive learning and being in school as well. And she's done years of research, so her research is so interesting to see how kids' grades grow up when they increase their growth mindset. Okay, so let's talk about the brain and what this looks like in the brain, because there is a big difference in brain connection growth when we use growth mindset and resiliency skills. When people have a fixed mindset, they don't believe they can do it, they give up, or they try and fail and then give up, there's very little, what I would say, lighting up in the brain, meaning that the brain isn't making very many neural connections. There isn't much brain activity or brain growth, and therefore not a lot of learning or problem-solving skill development is happening in your kiddo's brain or in your brain if you have a fixed mindset. However, when we try and we fail, our brains light up like crazy if we have a growth mindset of trying again and learning from our mistakes. And you guys, this is the best. When I teach kids this, it's like a mind blow for them. They love it, and you can see the flip switch. And they're like, oh, it's not a failure anymore. And they start to reframe the way they look at learning, which is what we want them to do. We want to reframe into that growth mindset. And one of the things I tell them that always amazes them is that your brain actually lights up more, makes more of those neural connections if you try and then you fail and then you try it again than if you tried and got it right the first time. And I think in society today, it's like try and get it right is such the way that we teach kids, or they see as our example. Even if we tell them differently, that's not really how the world works in their eyes. So you try and you get it right, and that equals success. Try getting it wrong, and then having to try again equals failure in modern society. However, when we show them that you try, you fail, you learn from your mistake, and you try again, and your brain has so much more growth than if you were to try and get it right the first time, it flicks the switch that it's sort of like is taking some bricks off their back of stress, that they don't have to get it right the first time as long as they're learning and growing. And we see that with so many people that are the great inventors of the world. A lot of the people that we look up to as great innovators have this growth mindset. They didn't care how many times they failed because they learned and tried again. If you try and you don't get it and then you don't give up, your brain will go to work trying to figure out a way. Your brain loves to solve puzzles. Your brain will start taking different paths and making new connections, trying to see what other parts of the brain that may not have worked together before could work together to figure this out. So what it's doing is it's activating and sort of lighting up the whole brain to figure out which part of the brain holds the answer to figuring this out, or which ones might know the next step to solving the problem, or which ones might look at it a little differently, that creativity part of the brain. Marie Forleo, if you know who she is, she has a saying that sums up growth mindset in a nutshell. It is, everything is figure outable. Yes. Believing you can figure it out and learning from mistakes is a key to brain growth. And really, this is one of those things that even I, as a grown-up, have adopted into my mindset, especially if I'm learning something new and running a business. I am always learning something new. Instead of getting very frustrated with myself because it's slow going or I can't figure it out, I just very much have that as one of my mantras. Everything is figure outable. Whenever I have that little moment of doubt of, oh my gosh, this is way above my pay grade or way above my brain level, I just always take a deep breath and really connect with everything is figure outable. And it really is. I have always figured everything out, or I found a way or a person or a means to the end to help me figure it out. I know where to go reach for resources, or I will figure out where the resources are, or I go to YouTube and somebody usually has done it before me and I can figure it out that way too. But I'm using what I know to go find the answer I need. So now that we know what it is, let's talk about how to coach it in our kids. For those of you joining me for the first time, I like to think of parenting from a coaching role. That's the life coach, brain health coach in me. That's just how I think about it. Coaches support their players or their clients, but it is the person themselves that has to do the work and apply the skills. This is huge if you are thinking of letting your kid fail for growth. You really have to put yourself in that coaching role. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 ways to parent coach the growth mindset. The first of which is based on an international resiliency study called A Guide to Promoting Resilience in Children, Strengthening the Human Spirit by Edith Grothberg, PhD, from the International Resilience Project. And this foundation's central objective is to improve the opportunities for young children who live in disadvantaged circumstances. It does this by supporting the development of innovative field approaches in early childhood development and by sharing experiences with as wide an audience as possible in order to influence policy and practice. This study, when I found it, I was like, wow, it's pretty cool. And I'll link it in the show notes so you can check it out too. But I'm going to give you a couple key takeaways in case you're in a skim to win right now. I always call skim to win when you're like, just give me the goods out of it because I just don't have the moment right now. So you can always go back and look at the study, but here's the skim to win for right now. This study found that people who had the best resiliency skills were able to recognize and believe 3 key components. The 3 resources to overcome adversities that children can use are labeled I have, I am, and I can. And I have means I know I have people around me I trust who love me no matter what, people who set limits for me so I know when to stop before there's danger or trouble, people who show me how to do things right by the way they do things, people who want me to learn to do things on my own, people who help me when I am sick, in danger, and need to learn. So that's the I have, kind of like knowing who's in your back pocket, knowing what your support system is. So you can lean on them if you're looking for a way to get help, not to do it for you, but knowing that you have support and that connection of another human being helps you grow those resiliency skills. Okay, the second one, so that's I have. The second one is I am. I am is sort of your internal. I am a person people can like and love. I am glad to do nice things for others and show any concern. I am respectful of myself and others. I am willing to be responsible for what I do. I am sure things will be all right. That's your inner belief system that you rely on. And then there's the I can. I can, what you can do, so your actionable things that you know to do. I can talk to others about things that frighten or bother me. I can find ways to solve problems that I face. I can control myself when I feel like doing something not right or dangerous. I can figure out when it's a good time to talk to somebody or take action. And I can find someone to help me when I need it. So the study says that a resilient child does not need to have all of these features to be resilient, but one is not enough. A child may be loved, I have, but if he or she has no inner strength, the I am, or social interpersonal skills, I can, then there can be no resilience. Or a child may have a great deal of self-esteem, the I am, but if he or she does not know how to communicate with others or solve problems, the I can, and has no one to help him or her, I have, the child cannot be resilient. And then lastly, a child may be very verbal and speak well in the I can, but if he or she has no empathy, the I am, or does not learn from role models, the I have, then there is no resilience. Resilience results from a combination of these features. These might seem pretty obvious and easy to acquire, but they're not. In fact, a lot of children are not resilient, and many parents and caregivers do not help kids become resilient. This study found, which I found this amazing, only 38% of thousands of the responses, remember this is an international study, indicate that resilience is being promoted. Okay, that's crazy. 38% of households are working on resiliency skills that matter. So today we are going to raise the roof on those statistics. So that was number one, the I have, I am, and I can. And if you're like, that was a whole bunch of great information, Erin, but you didn't really tell me how to coach this. So we're going to strengthen those skills. But I, of course, because I love you guys, made you a resource for how you can do this in your home, because that's the kind of coach I am. And you can go to, just click free resources. That will be in the show notes. Or if you happen to be somewhere and you're not by show notes, you can just go to therootedfamily.com and click into free resources, and it will be in there, sitting there for you. They don't stay in there forever. Eventually, I'll keep it in there for at least this fall period, fall 2019. After that, they usually travel into the Rooted Family Circle, where they become resources for my membership group, and then they kind of get the exclusive on it. So if you always want to have it forever and ever, you can always join the circle. But if not, it is there waiting for you, and I want you to go get it. So go download it, use it with your kiddo, and help set those growth mindset skills in motion. If you don't practice it on the regular, though, don't expect it to work in a pinch. You don't just run an Olympic hurdle race without training, and you don't overcome the hurdles of life without practicing growth mindset, okay? So it's got to be something that you're going to repeat. And if your kiddo has a really, really hard time with a fixed mindset and you're trying to go to a growth mindset or just trying new things, you got to start the failures out small. So little things that they can do. And to help you with that, like how do I know? If you've never heard of the zone of proximal development, which I've gone into on some other podcasts, and I talk about in the book too. So Parenting Your Frustrated Child, I talk about it in there, and that has the charts from there. But I will link to the free resources. So if you have the book, you probably have already read and know about it. If you don't, I have the chart of explaining it and then how to do it in your household. Those are both in the free resources too. So go have at them. And now on to number 2. So I told you I was going to give you 2 ways. This is number 2. Oh my gosh, let's loop in here right now. We're going to talk about the 5 key ways to boost growth, mindset, and resilience. And again, I talk about this a lot in the book, Parenting Your Frustrated Child. I have a whole chapter about it and about mindfully allowing kids to fail. And then I go a bit more in depth. So if you have not read it, please do yourself a favor, go click. It's free. And that way you can help with any frustration that you see along the way to this growth mindset path. Okay, so 5 key ways to boost growth mindset and resilience. First of all, we're going to talk about process versus product. Here's the 5 key things you can say to your kiddo to boost that feeling. We are going to say, we're going to praise the process, not the product. For example, I see you are working really hard at that. Wow, your brain must be really growing and lighting up. Notice I didn't say like, oh, that's a great painting you did, or oh, whatever your final project, you did a great job on that project. I'm actually praising the child for the process of what they're doing, and I'm actually praising them for the struggles they're having too, because their brain is growing. And kids that are starting to feel frustrated with doing something, when you start praising the process, it's almost like you're coaching, like cheering them on and coaching them through it. And it's sort of that extra boost I find a lot of times that kids need to push through that struggle and get to the other side of that accomplishment, is when they hear you saying like, I can see your brain's really working hard. I can see that you are really trying. That is the great part about it, is that really helps them quite a bit, like get to that next level when they're about to stop because their frustration level is really high. That can sort of be the encouragement they need to get to the other side. Okay, so the second one is eliminate and evaluate. We're going to talk it through. So first, we're going to make goals. A lot of fear surrounding trying new things is the unknown. That was sort of my radio announcer voice, unknown. You can help your child eliminate some fear just by walking them through the steps and helping them decide what the goal is and what milestones along the way will mark progress towards that goal. This way, you aren't telling your child what to do, you're listening to what they want to do, and then, like the wise old parenting owl that you are giving small, steering suggestions if necessary. This is the empowerment piece of the child. It's on the child to try, it's on the child to fail, it's on the child to grow, it's on the child to learn, but you're there as the guide and the coach for them. I have that ZPD planning chart in the free resources and use that to guide you. Okay, number 3, set emotional boundaries for yourself. Let me say that one more time. This is for you. Yep, you listening right now, this is for you. Set emotional boundaries for yourself. Okay, I think you got it that time. In case that just floated through as that didn't apply to you, any parent listening, this applies to us because we are so connected emotionally to our kids, and we don't take the time always to put some boundaries up. And then when they fail, it tugs at our heartstrings and we want to rush in and save the day. If we just thought about it, really to give our kids the superhero skills they need means for us to just pause for a moment. So here's how we're going to do that. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to lie. Watching kids fail is not always easy, but it's necessary. And the more you practice it, I'm telling you, the easier it gets because your kid gets so much better at failing. They pick themselves back up and they're like, okay, I'm going to try again. And then all of a sudden, like, the world opens up to both of you. It's a whole new world. It's not you solving kids' problems all the time. It's your kids solving their own problems all the time. And raise your hand if you could use a little bit more of that in your life. A little bit less of you being a police officer and having to solve the world's problems and police what's going on, and a little bit more of your kids saying, I got this. I mean, who doesn't want that? All right. That's why we need to keep having the end goal in mind. You may want to write a sticky note and put it in your pocket. I have coached parents in that before. Write the goal on the sticky note and then keep it in your pocket. And if you have to, crush it up really small because you're having such a hard time holding yourself back. But that's your reminder that give it a beat. As teachers, we do this all the time. A kid asks us for help and we ask them to take a moment and just think it through, giving them a beat. Or when that we're calling on kids who have their hands raised, and sometimes it takes them a minute to come up with the answer. They were so excited they threw their hand up, but then they hadn't fully processed how they want to answer. And we give them the safe space of that pause to formulate their answer. We don't just say, oh, next. Like, sorry, you didn't get it. Go on to the next one. That's the same thing when your kid fails and then they immediately turn to you to solve the problem for them because that's their habit. That's what they've been doing forever. So to get them to stop doing that, you have to emotionally disconnect and just take that pause for just a minute, and not to disconnect from them, but disconnect from your own emotion of needing to rush in and solve the problem for them. That's a you thing as a parent, not a them thing. You guys got to work together. It's a dual system here. So they have to do their role of picking themselves up, deciding how they want to try again, working their plan, and you have to take that pause not to immediately rush in if that is what you have been doing. And if you don't think you do it, but your kid is having problems with growth mindset and trying new things, I want you to really be mindful because you might not always recognize it. It might be such a habit or a pattern that you don't. That happens a lot. So just be aware. You know, we're all trying to be more aware. Just try and be aware. And both of you have to emotionally prepare yourselves. So you have a discussion about what this is going to look like. I mean, have a discussion that you're going to take a pause so that your kid doesn't feel abandoned. If you've always rushed in and then all of a sudden you're taking a pause and you never talk to them about it, you don't want them to feel like, holy cow, I'm on my own. Letting them know you're still there, but you want to give their brain space to figure it out. Growth comes from stretching outside of our comfort zones. That's the great thing about growth. So you have to feel uncomfortable to have some growth. So this will mean that you're going to have to stretch and feel uncomfortable, and your kiddo's going to have to grow and stretch and feel uncomfortable. But just think of how smart you guys are getting with all your new neural connections. I mean, your brain's going to feel brand new. Like, woo! Look at all those new synapses and neural networks I'm growing. Woo-wee! Okay, and number 4 is develop inner superpowers by having a mantra or phrase. And then when the going gets tough, your kiddo has that even if you're not with them. So if they're at school and they run into something tough and you're not there with them, they will have this mantra or this saying that you guys came up with together that they can pull out of their memory bank and use to help them get them through that, okay? Mantras are short, repetitive phrases, and they're great for turning on when you want to turn off the fear. The key to using them when you really need them is to practice them when you don't. The free resources, I have that awesome growth mindset. I'll make sure that's in the show notes for you. I have a growth mindset mantra for kids printable that you can download and then just gain some ideas from that. So I like to set them little key about mantras and your memory. here's another parent brain hack for today. If you set them to the tune of, like a lot of times they're set to happy birthday. For me, when I teach kids, not regular mantras in like yogi land, but in Aaron Sadler teaching kid land, I like to link mantras to very recognizable tunes like happy birthday, row, row, row your boat. Every single kid knows the nationwide is on your side jingle. So if I hum that without the words, every kid knows it. So anything I set, I sort of set to a repetitive jingle. And then, just like if I went, you would know exactly. It's just gets stored in your brain. Whoever decided to make jingles is amazing because those suckers get stuck in your brain. So if you set the mantra to the tune of a jingle, guess what? It's going to be stuck in their brain, just waiting there for when they need it, which is exactly what you want it to do. So there's your parent brain hack for today. As if this wasn't all a parent brain hack, there you go. So they're in the free resources, like I said. Go download some. I already have some set to tunes that you can check it out. And then number 5, visualize, visualize, visualize. Visualization is huge, and it can lead you to the outcome you desire, you and your kid. So when I say you, I mean both of you. Making a mental movie, which is sometimes what I call visualization when I'm talking to kids, and how you want things to go is huge. Like Olympic athletes, this is how they train their brains before they do events. Why? Because if you really connect that emotion and imagine how you want it to go. Remember earlier I said your brain loves to solve puzzles. Your brain, first of all, doesn't, if you really feel it and think about it and connect emotion to your outcome and how, you picture it like a mental movie. You actually make a movie of how you want this all to go. Your brain doesn't know the difference between the real and the imaginary. And again, it will start to try and move you from A to B, solving the puzzle for you. So it almost like starts to work backwards, trying to figure out how to get you to your goal. And like I said, I know a lot of people think this is very out there, but I Google it, because sports psychologists are using this all the time. When the whole Olympic ski team was using this and doing their runs. And if you haven't heard me tell the Michael Jordan story about how he used visualization to be like the GOAT of basketball, then I think it's in one of my previous podcasts and I don't know which one offhand. Or have me come speak and then I'll give you the whole story. But anyway, they all use major sports people use visualization to help them attain their goals because they know that about their brains. And I will say, a lot of not just sports people, very high achievers use visualization because it works. So just think, if you taught your kid this now, holy buckets. Can you imagine? So I'm just saying, go ahead and do it. So, all right, that's about it for today. We have a ton of resources for you today, so don't forget about those. It was like the growth mindset. I'm like the growth mindset resource fairy today. You should be all set up and ready to go. Today is the day you let your kids fail. Hooray! I know, sounds so counterintuitive, but I'm telling you, we got to build this resiliency. Here's the deal. Go try these tools. Check out all the resources you got today. Go watch Carol DeWick. Go read the study. They're all in the show notes. Or go skim to win and pick one to mindfully take in. But here's the deal. If you feel like you want some more brain boosting, or if you feel like you need some more parent coaching on the subject, you're going to stick with me, because I'm going to tell you a little bit more in just a second about where I do this all the time with kids, where I do brain explains, and where I told you the research shows that when you show kids how their brains work, sorry, I'm tripping over my words, that they learn more. This is why I do a brainsplain for parents and a brainsplains for kids every single month, because this is so important. So I'm going to go into that in a sec. For those of you who joined me today, I just wanted to say thank you so much. And don't forget to join the conversation and answer the question somewhere. Find me somewhere on some resource and tell me, what have you let your child fail at doing recently to help them grow, either on purpose or on accident? And hit me with pictures of your kids trying these resources. Please send them to me. They make my heart smile so big when I see kids going in for a win. I love it. So if you're trying these resources and you found that they work like so many other kids have, I want to hear about it. We want to raise this community up and show people that we can parent these resilient kids. All right, you guys, have a great day. Okay, if you stuck with me and you feel like you need a brain boost, here's how we're going to do it. Just think how much further along your kids will be if they develop these skills and make these connections now. Boost your kids and your family's brains. We're talking about the superhero skills of resiliency and growth mindset today. And over in the Rooted Family Circle, we're taking that to the next level and combining it with other brain boosters. If you are already a circle member, kiss your brain. You are so smart. But 2, you get to see this up close and personal in November with a growth mindset gratitude mega brain boost because I put them together. This whole September, though, in the Rooted Family Circle, the theme is superheroes. When we understand how our brains work when it comes to navigating big emotions, we can begin to develop our superpowers of control. Each month, we have a different theme that boosts brain skills and tackles issues that kids are dealing with today. The Rooted Family Circle is a place for parent coaching. When things get chaotic, we help you bring on the calm. There's so many cool things at the Rooted Family Circle. First, our topic today, because it is a rooted family component for strong brains, it's taught in a fun, engaging way, but it also helps you increase social and emotional well-being for your family, increase cognitive ability for your kids, increase awareness of emotions, and learn how to deal with them effectively, and grow your family connections while increasing peace and understanding in your home. And I had the best from Tina. She said, I can't wait for the circle to launch, which by the time you guys listen to this, it will already be launched. She's a little previewer for me. Your classes are amazing, and I'm looking forward to journals that we can all do as a family. And I just want to say thanks, Tina. I can't wait for you guys to do our journals too. And I wanted to make sure, because I have 3 kids, that everyone in the family gets the circle on their level. For the journal part, there's a little kid journal, a big kid journal, and a teen/adult journal. The cool thing is that everybody gets to do their own journal at their own level, but the brain skill being reinforced is the same. So that means that everybody can do a journal, and 2 things. They got the brain train in the topic, and you can have a discussion and create a connection because the topic is all the same. So don't forget to join me there. I'll have it in the show notes, but it's called the Rooted Family Circle. And again, if you're not right by